So you're looking for windows, but what material do you have? Materials matter, and we've put together a comprehensive list. We're about to go through each option one by one so you know you're making the right choice. Let's check it out. So we're gonna start with vinyl. Now, vinyl windows are a great option material-wise. They're cost-effective, they're durable, they're naturally insulating, and there's a ton of styles and options. Vinyl windows years ago were kind of like the cheap, bottom-of-the-barrel, low-end option, but they have come a long way, and depending on what you're looking to do, really depends on what brand would be best for you. But I have a couple examples here, right? This is a white double-hung vinyl window. Double-hung windows lift up and down. And this is a black on black laminated casement window. Casement windows are going to crank out to the left or to the right. And really the benefits of a vinyl window, again, naturally insulating. And part of that is because there are all these chambers. All these chambers are dead airspace. In addition to that, some companies will do a foam fill inside of there for added energy efficiency. And it's a sleek, easy, quick option that's cost effective. Vinyl products typically have some sort of rigidity put in there where they'll do steel or aluminum to add to the structure just to give it a little more beef to it. They're easily done as new construction windows with this piece called a nailing flange or nailing fin, or they can be done as replacement style because they tend to be narrow so they fit inside an existing window frame. So depending on the application, that's going to depend on what way you want to go. If you're looking to replace siding, if you're looking to replace interior trim, new construction windows with a nailing flange or nailing fin are absolutely the way to go when we're talking material. If you don't want to disturb the interior trim, if you don't want to disturb the siding, replacement style, where it fits inside the existing window frame, is probably the better application for you. When it comes to vinyl windows, there are interior glazed and exterior glazed, and that can depend on the brand. That can also depend on the line within the brand. Like this is a casement window, which is interior glazed, where the double hung window that I have here is exterior glazed. Now, what does that mean? That means when you drop the glass in, you're dropping it in either from the inside, interior glazed, or from the outside, exterior glazed. And this little piece here that holds the glass in is called a glazing bead. Now, vinyl windows, advantages of it, they're cost effective. Other advantages of it, there's a lot of brands and there's a lot of versatility nowadays. Again, it's not like it used to be when you talked vinyl windows. There's a ton of options. There's great energy efficiency with it. They tend to be material that's going to come in at a pretty aggressive budget. I will say this, not all vinyl windows are created equal. You want to ensure that the manufacturer that you're purchasing your vinyl window from uses a virgin vinyl, that goes through the extruder at one time, that those units are a welded product, not a mechanically assembled product. And what I mean by that is the edge of the sash and the frame, that vinyl is welded and heat strengthened when it's attached together. It's a very rigid product. If it's mechanically assembled, what that means regarding windows and doors is it's just screwed together. They drop the glass in, they put the stiles and the rails together, they screw it together, and over time that becomes loose, that falls apart, and it's really not a great product. There's not a lot of companies out there that do that, but something you should be aware of. If you see a mechanically assembled vinyl window, it's probably going to be a bottom of the line product, and it's really not going to last. And if you're going to make the investment in a material, you want to make sure you're making an investment in something that's going to stand the test of time. Vinyl windows, great option when it comes to budget, great option when it comes to design options, and a great option when it comes to energy efficiency. Up next, we're going to talk about composite materials. There's a lot of different properties when it comes to composite products, and every manufacturer kind of has their own mix. Some of them it's a mix of vinyl and wood, some of them it's a mix of fiberglass and vinyl. There's a lot of different properties depending on each manufacturer. That's also going to mean they all kind of react a little bit different. They all have different levels of strength and different levels of rigidity to them. So not all composite windows are created equal. In this, we're going to kind of talk about fiberglass and composite because I think they kind of fall in the same realm with this specific window here because this is a mix of fiberglass. It's a fiberglass composite window. With that being said, there's all different properties when it comes to the different brands And with this, I think the best option when it comes to a composite window or a fiberglass window is one that mixes fiberglass and PVC. This is a great example of that. And what makes that important is you get the thermal benefits of fiberglass, you get the welding properties of vinyl, and when you put that together, you have essentially a fiberglass window that can be welded. We talked about mechanically assembled products. Fiberglass products tend to fail with water and air infiltration because they're mechanically assembled. Like we talked about with more cost-effective vinyl options, they're just screwed together. Those screws, everything moves over time and they leak air and they leak water. That tends to be a problem with a fiberglass product. But if you do a product that has fiberglass and vinyl together, a composite material, you can get the thermal benefits of fiberglass, the rigidity of fiberglass, combined with the welding properties of vinyl, which makes a superior product. Composites are really a good option. They tend to be a more cost-effective option than an aluminum-clad wood option, which we're going to talk about next. And they tend to be a little bit more like a premium vinyl is kind of where they would fall into play. They're not all created equal. And part of why I say that is this right here. This is the perfect view of this. All those little chambers add rigidity, add strength, add durability. They also add dead airspace, which is going to be another thermal barrier. Many of the composite companies out there, the fiberglass companies out there, this is just one hollow chamber in there where certain companies will do this large extrusion or pultrusion rather. They pull it through to make the piece. And all those pieces are dead airspace. In addition to that, that adds a really rigid product. It's just solid when you look at this compared to some of the other brands out there. So you want to consider, how is it assembled? What does it look like? You want to look at the section details of it to see what are the guts. You know, they all look nice on the outside, but what makes that window up? And compare them side by side. Maybe one like this is a couple bucks more than some of the other ones out there, but what are you getting for it? And when you think about the investment of a window or door, well, what makes it up and what makes that worth the value? Is it worth paying a couple extra points to get something that's going to be there for, you know, a forever window versus a 10, 20-year window? That's really up to you. It depends on your project. It depends on your budget and where you are. But this is a great benefit when it comes to products. All these chambers all add to the energy efficiency and all add to the rigidity. With that weld combined, this is an unbelievably durable product that's going to stand the test of time. In addition to that, composite windows can be painted, or they're naturally go through the pultruder with that paint on there, or they have a wrap like this one here. Most of these windows are available just like in vinyl. You're gonna get sliders, you're gonna get double hungs that lift up and down, casements that crank out. There's a lot of options in there with that. Some things to consider if you're talking about a composite window, they tend to be a little bit more than a vinyl window if they're of quality. You'll see there's composite windows out there that are a fraction of what you would think they would be. But if you look at those details like we talked about, the devil's in the details on that, how is it made and what does it look like? There's some real cheapies out there that you want to avoid because they're not strong, they're not going to last, they're going to fall apart. The next one we're going to talk about is aluminum-clad wood. Now, what does that mean for you? That means it is an aluminum exterior, it's cladded, it's protected with aluminum, and then it's a wood interior. So the aesthetics of that are warm and inviting. Aluminum-clad wood is a great option when it comes to a window replacement or window installation for a new construction home. The reason for that is it can be a lifetime solution combined with the warmth and aesthetics of wood. There's a lot of opportunities available with aluminum clad, with paint colors, with options, and the benefit to that is you're not paying an upgrade typically, unless it's a special finish, on painting the outside because the aluminum has to be painted anyway. So when we talked about vinyl and composite windows, windows having an upgrade for a color. Aluminum, they have to paint it anyway, so you're getting that benefit there. You're just getting that aluminum on the outside, and depending on the range of colors that are available, for the most part they're the same price, but sometimes there's like a specialty finish or something like that, but you can really play. So that's what's cool. You're paying a little bit more than you would for a composite, but there's a lot of options. Now, with aluminum clad wood, there's a lot of options available to it as well. Like this one here, for example, has a clad casing on it. Now, that exterior casing is on the outside, and that's gonna butt right up to your siding and adds just another element of architectural detail into the product, and also can save you money on the other end, where when you're siding, you would put a surround around it or something like that, or if this sits inside of brick, it can add a really nice look and also cut cost on the other side of the project. The benefit of those is that they are the same finish and the same material. Now that's something that's really important when you're talking about an aluminum exterior product, is the finish. There's different levels of finish that are available with different manufacturers, but you want to make sure, depending on where you are, that you're getting the appropriate finish for your area. The different levels of finish tend to be called a fluoropolymer finish when it comes to aluminum. Now that fluoropolymer finish is different levels of fluoropolymer flakes in that paint. Now that's a really smooth finish that it's gonna have those flakes in there, and it's 30, 50, or 70% flake that allows contraction and expansion in with that aluminum that ensures this finish is gonna stand the test of time and look the way it looks now for years to come. Really important when you think about the finish, depending on your area. If you're in a coastal application, if you're in a desert application, all of these things really matter, even when it comes down to the colors themselves. Everyone says, well, if I have a black window, I have to think about fading, and with that, yes, it's important, but if you have a red window, super important to make sure that you get a really high quality paint finish. But it's not just about the paint finish, it's about the level of aluminum clad that's on the window. Now the level of aluminum clad, all of them have to have a frame that's extruded aluminum, which means this is roughly about the thickness of a nickel or so, maybe a little bit less on the frame, really rigid, solid product. But the sash is the part that moves. It's important to know that the sash is also extruded aluminum. A lot of companies out there, you'll see, wow, I got this aluminum clad wood project and it's at such a deal. What's making it such a deal? It's probably roll form aluminum on the sash. Roll form aluminum, big no-no, stay away from it. It's about the thickness of a soda can. And the problem with roll form aluminum, one, it's not gonna have the same adherence of paint that the extruded aluminum will, so it's gonna fade differently and kind of have like a zebra effect on your window. In addition to that, roll form aluminum is really thin, so that's directly on the wood. It's gonna cause that window over time to rot from the inside out because of condensation. The extruded aluminum, you're not gonna have that issue like you would with a roll form aluminum. So if you hear about an aluminum clad wood window and you see it's a really good deal, check to make sure it's not roll form aluminum. If it is, you're making a huge mistake, and you'd be better off to go to like a composite or something like that if you need to save some money versus the roll form. That's a big mistake, don't do it. So when it comes down to aluminum clad windows, it's also important to know there's different tiers and different levels of aluminum clad windows between all the brands that are out there. So this one, for example, is a premium aluminum clad window, and you could see the extrusion on the outside. You can see the casing that's on the outside, the full wood interior on the sash, the full wood interior and wood extension jamb that's applied on there. Really a rigid, beefy, large, substantial window. There's different levels that you could save money but still get a high quality window, like this one, for example. This one is kind of like a hybrid with what we talked about with the composites and things like that out there. Now this is extruded aluminum frame, extruded aluminum sash. There's a multi-chambered rigid vinyl mainframe behind the scenes that adds energy performance and that saves on cost. Now you still get all the benefits of the aluminum clad exterior, you get the benefits of a vinyl behind the scenes, and then on the inside, you get the gorgeous wood interior. On double hung windows that lift up and down, aluminum clad windows have different tilting mechanisms and jam carriers as well. So that's something to think about. And when we talk about aluminum clad, the jam carrier is actually a very important detail that many folks overlook. Is it a wood jam carrier or is it vinyl? If it's a vinyl jam carrier, typically it's a compression jam carrier, and to tilt it's going to be a little difficult because you have to compress that. If it's a gorgeous wood jam carrier like this, it's going to look like a beautiful wood window to the inside, and it'll have a tilting mechanism just like you see here. Now that tilting mechanism allows that just to tilt in nice and easy to clean, but also by doing that, it allows the exterior finish to match. So if you could think about, there's a lot of companies out there where they'll do aluminum clad wood and they'll have a white jam carrier on the inside, but they'll do a black exterior. Well, then you have a big white stripe down the side instead of matching. There's a lot of little details like that to pay attention to when you're making a decision on an aluminum clad product. And there's a lot of different levels of aluminum clad wood products within each manufacturer. The next option would be all aluminum. Now, all aluminum is a great choice depending on the manufacturer. All aluminum is kind of a cool option because it's a commercially rated product typically. You're gonna have the inside and outside pre-finished already because they have to, because it's bare aluminum, it needs to be painted. Some things to consider when it comes to an all aluminum company is how is it assembled? It's typically not welded because it's aluminum, so it's typically mechanically assembled, but how are they mechanically assembling that? Where is the product being sourced? Where is the product being made? So what quality of aluminum is it? What quality paint finish is on it? Is the manufacturer reliable? There's a lot of aluminum manufacturers out there. Some of them do not have the attention to detail that others do. The attention to detail like in this one here. Just a beautiful, clean, sleek product that's assembled, siliconed, gasketed, set, and ready to go. In addition to that, it's the energy performance factor. If you're paying the money for an all aluminum window, you want to make sure that all aluminum window is going to perform. If you think about metal, right? The aluminum clad wood is naturally insulating. Aluminum is not naturally insulating because it's metal. It's going to conduct heat and cold easily. So the thermal break is what you're going to want to look at. What is the thermal break? A thermal break is what they use on aluminum. So you have the aluminum, this one would be the aluminum on the outside. You have a thermal break here, and then you have the aluminum on the inside. Now, the difference of thermal breaks really matters. Some of the companies, it's just like a little rubber bead that goes through. Some of them use a small plastic or fiberglass spacer on there. There's a lot of options that are available, but you want to make sure whatever aluminum manufacturer you're using, they're putting a thermal break in there that gives you ample energy efficiency. If you just put a cheap aluminum window in there, it's going to be freezing cold to the inside, and it's really going to conduct the cold and heat right in from the outside. One of the benefits to a window like this one here, it uses what's called OptiCore technology. Now, OptiCore technology is a thermal break that is injected with air as it goes in. So it's injected and you see the size, the huge size of that thermal break in there. And then after the fact, the metal is routed out. So there is literally no metal transferring to the interior of that window with the way this is made up. On top of that, they use a super spacer on there. So there is no metal in the spacer in between the glass either. Really high performing, high quality aluminum window. There is a cost associated with that, but there's a longevity associated with an all aluminum product because it's a commercially rated product as well. This is a lifetime window for the most part. The aluminum products really are a sleek option. Colors, details, sizes, I mean, sky's the limit when it comes to a high quality all aluminum product that has a really nice thermal break in it. That is the most crucial part of an all aluminum product, is that thermal break. So up next, we're gonna talk about all wood windows. Not necessarily the most popular option, but they absolutely have their place in the market. Typically, all wood windows are going to come into play on a historic application or a client who really wants that look, feel, and warmth of wood. Now, this one here, for example, is a weight and chain replication window. Now, what's a weight and chain window? Weight and chain window is your old historic gorgeous window that would have a rope or a chain with a pulley and the weights to lift the sash up and down. So you can see that box right there. That's where those tubular weights would allow the sash to lift up and down. So this is a specialty window, really a gorgeous application, even if it's just a feature in a certain area. But there's a ton of options out there with wood exterior, wood interior. Some of the companies will provide different species of wood. Standard tends to be pine. I'd recommend that you go with a no finger joint exterior, a clear wood. What does that mean, finger joint? Finger joint is a way that manufacturers will allow a wood to be more rigid by taking out the knots and cutting little fingers in the ends, and they glue them together and mill it as a board. Finger joint, if it's being painted on the inside, great option. It's a great way to save some money. It's also a great way to ensure that that board doesn't warp over time because of that finger joint. The problem is on the exterior, if you do a finger joint product, it's going to contract and expand with the cold and the heat. Those fingers open over time, moisture gets in, and it can cause that wood window to rot. Tends to be why aluminum-clad wood windows are a more popular option these days. There's less maintenance to them. Wood windows are going to have maintenance. Some of the manufacturers will paint the exterior for you. Some will just provide it as primed or clear natural wood to stain or do whatever you're looking to do. But for the most part, wood windows tend to be losing popularity because of the maintenance associated with it. But there's just something to be said about the warmth and character of it. Wood windows tend to be a pricey option compared to some of the other options out there, because if you're looking at a wood exterior window, it's typically going to be a premium manufacturer that offers it nowadays. When you look at the availability of wood exterior windows, again, crucial point, is that something that company does on a regular basis? Are they making wood exterior windows for years, or is it something that they're doing as a one-off for you? You want to make sure that that's a high quality company that's providing that wood window, the preservatives that they're putting in the wood to ensure that it's not impervious to insects. Consider the species that you're using. Like I mentioned, pine is typically the standard. Some companies will do Douglas fir as a way to keep costs down but still offer a wood window. And then others will do, like this one, a mahogany window. So stained interior, really just a gorgeous option, and that mahogany species is going to last and stand the test of time for sure. It's naturally insulating to, or naturally impervious to insects. It's a strong, hard wood versus a soft wood, and there's just a real beauty when it comes to an all wood product, wood exterior, wood interior. There's a lot that can be done when it comes to a home and its windows, when it comes to an all wood product that others simply just can't do. Like for example, this rope casing here. You see that detail there on the outside. That rope casing, something that to do that in aluminum clad would be special knives, special setup charges. There's a lot of details that need to be taken into consideration with that, where a wood product, maybe that's a custom knife, maybe it's not, but you could do custom casings. You could do really ornate things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do with other materials out there. So the person that's going to be considering an all wood product is probably a historic application or an application where the design, you want a stained exterior. Other than that, aluminum clad is probably a better option. But wood's good. If it's the right option for you, absolutely go for it. If you want the aesthetics, the warmth and appeal, and you're okay with the maintenance that's associated with a wood window, don't be afraid of it. Just make sure it's a really high quality product. So we just went through the gamut of materials, and there's others out there, of course, but these are the most popular. A lot of this is going to depend on where you are for what's the best application. Budget, energy efficiency, material really matters, and depending on where you are really would depend on what would be appropriate for you in your application. If you have any questions at all, please contact us at mammothmillwork.com. So if you're looking to learn more about windows, watch this video right here.